Alright, time for another draftphysics.com, debatephysics.com also, video presentation. So apparently it's lunatic day on the internet, and so all I could run across is lunatics for the next 24 hours or something. So anyway, I'll leave a link below to a conversation I had on a completely different subject on the internet, but it was just so bizarre um, that, yeah, I might as well link to it from this channel. What the hell? Um, and then, okay, this Rousseau guy made another, just, so obnoxious, defending doxing, um, you know, and just making up complete nonsense about what Newton said. So I'll just have to show, screenshots. You can't play his video. You can't, that's the reasonable thing I want to do is play somebody's video, but he can't make a video where he's not insanely rude and obnoxious to any kind of polititudes, that you do on the internet. I mean, the minimums, where you don't behave like a terrorist. Like I said, the only thing that bothers me about this doxing thing is, again, the fact is that we already know it's happened. Okay, we've seen it happen. I've been swatted twice. Twice the cops have been at my house, okay, because of some crank lying to the cops. And it's really uncomfortable to be in that position where people have this power to fuck with your life. And it's not like I can prevent it, but there's no point in encouraging it. There's no point in emphasizing it to crazy people, because those other people who are going to do this kind of shit are morons. So there's no point in inciting it. And that's all this does. This doxing thing just incites it. And clearly it's a threat. And it's just obnoxious that this cruel, stupid, ignorant pile of shit that has a position as a college professor can get away with doing this kind of crap. This childish, idiotic, insensitive crap. Where he's going to try to threaten some innocent party to try to persuade me to shut up. And that's just wrong. Illegitimate. Fail. Right, continuing. I'm doing this part first just because it's the first image I did have loaded. So this is what the first experiment looked like. This is the way the software is supposed to perform. It's supposed to go to a calibration mode, then it detects no motion, and until you let the thing go, then it launches. Clearly what took place here was he set the software after he released the object. So it's already accelerating. It can't go into its normal mode because it's already moving, clearly. It's clearly not the way it's supposed to look. So I'm just saying anybody who knows the software, I think, will concede it's not supposed to look this way. It's not supposed to do this. It's supposed to do this. Just like the first experiment, the second experiment should look pretty much the same, just a different peak line. So it's clearly reason to doubt, reason to say, well, this isn't good enough. You have to do a little better than that. The very fact that he only did the experiment once anyway, only one trial, it's just such bullshit. So, and he's doubling down, defending this crap, and it's crap. This isn't the kind of science that should be convincing anyone. This crap. This is crap. Like the Eddington experiment, where he got 10% of the data, admittedly. Right in his own words, he says, I was expecting 10,000 stars per glass slide and I got 1,000. He's conceding the catastrophic outcome. And yet, New York Times headline, Einstein proven right. This is the bad science that people are defending, and it's just on its face bad science. It's just bad science. And the fact that they can't admit that this is terrible, awful, bad science just proves my point. That they don't care about the science. It's a religion, and they're fanatics for their religion. Alright, so let's go to his first argument. Again, he's still arguing that somehow Newton was a Leibnizian. that Newton actually believed that it takes 4 rubber bands to move something twice as fast. That he thought there was some purpose in squaring the velocity and defining what something had as a capacity to do something. It's nowhere in Newton's philosophy anywhere. There's no indication that he believed any of that, and it's just lying. And this is what physicists do. They're just liars. So he changes the word. So I read from this translation of Newton. He's claiming he has some kind of superior knowledge about how it should be translated, but obviously it starts with the alteration of motion. So the only thing he's changing is changing the word alteration to change. The change of motion. So the alteration of motion and the change of motion are somehow profoundly different statements. Now, I mean, obviously they're exactly the same statement. There's no way of confusing it. Is ever proportional to the motive force impressed. Ever proportional, okay, which to me is equal, all right, and is made in the direction of a right line in which the force is impressed. So that's the actual law. And the sentence right under it, to clarify that statement, okay, says, if any force generates a motion, a double force will generate double the motion. Clearly, this is not consistent with Leibnizian theory. Double the force is 4 times the energy. Triple the force is 9 times the energy. This is not what Newton is saying. He's clearly not saying that. The only way you could possibly interpret this sentence into an equation is to basically define an equality between force and velocity, understanding the necessity of a constant mass. So it's clearly stating, clear as can be, F equals momentum. You will get a change in your momentum that is completely proportional to the amount of the force. So the force obviously might as well be understood to be momentum. All right, so I'll read it again. If any force generates a motion, double the force will generate double the motion. A triple force will triple the motion. Whether that force be impressed altogether and at once, so instant, Newton's cradle, are gradually and successive like wind. So he's covering both the net and forces that are changing and variable, and saying in both cases the same rule applies. All that's going to matter is if you double the force, you're going to double acceleration or whatever you're creating. Whether you're maintaining a velocity or creating extra velocity, it doesn't matter, this holds. And that's the clear statement, and there's no way around it. It's a clear statement by Newton. He is not a Leibnizian. Leibniz wouldn't say these words. Newton did say them. Fact, okay, and it's only insane lying to imply that this implies that Newton was a Leibnizian. He's clearly stating, I'm not a Leibnizian. I don't believe that a unit of force quadratically increases its velocity. It doesn't. It doesn't quadratically increase anything. It just gives you this proportional amount of momentum, and that's it. All right. Can't be clearer. So he's just evading that entire subject. He didn't deal with this sentence at all, and he changes the word alteration to change as if that somehow proves something. It proves nothing. Zero. Nothing. Alright, so here's what he had on his video. And again, he's saying this word change. So changing it from the alteration of motion to the change of motion somehow is a significant translation modification that changes the meaning of the sentence entirely. It changes nothing. Alright, and then he says, you see, Gary, while momentum is defined as equal to mv, change of motion is a completely different quantity. So there's just absolutely no evidence that it is in any way. So that's just bullshit. To imply that his sentence, twice the force, twice the motion, 3 times the force, 3 times the motion, does not stand, is just plain bullshit. All right, so he says, I'm lying when you claim that Newton wrote F equals mv. Well, there's no way to understand twice the motion from twice the force and 3 times the motion from 3 times the force than to write F equals mv, because that's exactly what those words mean. You can't formalize it in any other way than to write that simple statement, because that's exactly what Newton said. So again, you're the liar. All right, so then he posts this. So in one of the soliloquiums, Newton clarifies. So let's just say again, this isn't a clarification at all. So his argument is that impressed force is a momentary action by which a body is pushed. That's what Newton said. It's pushed, and it's pushed by an action that takes place over some period of time. He's saying that's Newton saying, okay, right here, this is Newton stating that a force is an instant change in motion. Now, how does momentary become instant? That's ridiculous. So again, what do I have to argue here? And how would this change anything? Whether the transfer of the momentum was instant or whether the transfer takes time, how does that change twice the force, twice the motion, 3 times the force, 3 times the motion? It can't change that earlier statement in any way whatsoever. Instant or not instant doesn't make any difference whatsoever. But he's clearly lying. I mean, Newton didn't say instant change. He would have said instant if he meant instant. He would have said instantaneous. He knew the word. He would have said it. Not a change over a finite time interval, implying a continuously acting cause. It doesn't matter what it's implying. He already stated in the paragraph I read, okay, that it applies, the rule, the law, applies to both circumstances. Constant force or a net force. It applies to both circumstances. So again, this is just bullshit. I don't know how many of these I'm going to bother doing. I mean, this is no way to have to respond to this fucking piece of crap. Yeah. Alright, so now he goes way off the subject. So in some other luma, in some other place where Newton's probably talking about orbiting objects and something in a completely different circumstance, he says this means something to me. The ultimate ratio of effervescent quantities is the ratio to which the ratios of the quantities that are diminishing without limit always converge. So, he's saying that somehow this undoes his clear statement, twice the force, twice the motion, 3 times the force, 3 times the motion, when of course it doesn't. This is Newton's defining the limit of the ratio vanishing increments, which is the root of calculus, and it doesn't have anything to do with twice the motion, twice the force, twice the motion. You don't need calculus. The exchanges, most of these exchanges, you don't need calculus to figure out what happened. You don't need calculus to figure out a Newton's cradle. So this is just more nonsense. All right, putting everything together, Newton says that force continuously changes momentum. So obviously it doesn't. It depends on whether it's a net force, whether it's an impulse force, or whether it's a constant force. Obviously constant forces are constantly changing, your velocity. And that is continuous change of momentum is calculated as the ultimate ratio. So again, I don't know what this ultimate ratio is, but obviously it has nothing to do with the simple statement, the simple ratio of twice the force, twice the motion, 3 times the force, 3 times the motion. Not 9 times the motion, 3 times the motion. Not 9 times the energy, just 3 times. So again, just bullshit. Bullshit evasion. He's not anywhere on the subject. Alright, so here he posts the derivative. Alright, this is literally, he says, and geometric definition of derivatives, which is using modern mathematical notation, translate exactly as. So again, this isn't a translation of any collision. This isn't anything relevant to the subject at all. And there's no argument that you could understand force as equal to ma, as long as you understand that the a isn't a squared function, that it isn't in units of distance. So as I understand it, the two forms of calculus between Leibniz and Newton isn't just superficial. It is a fact that they rejected Newton's form, which is time-based, and have accepted Leibniz's form, which is distance-based. And so, I don't know enough specifics about that, but I mean, if you look at the anybody doing real Newton equation, real Newton calculus, it's called figurons and boulibons or whatever he titled it. But I mean, it is different, more than just superficial difference. Okay. So obviously this F equals ma, they've converted that into meaning that we're going to take the distances and say that's the unit in which the energy is absorbed in units of distance, when clearly, I'll put up the quote from Newton, clearly demonstrating he understood it to be Galilean time units. All right, so let me find that one. All right, so you can probably barely read this, so I will read it. So later, so when, I don't know what soliloquium this was in, but whatever. When a body is falling, the uniform force of its gravity acting equally impresses in equal particles of time equal forces upon that body. So he's clearly saying you get the force in units of time, not units of distance, and therefore generates equal velocities. So you get the same 9.8 in the first second, you get the same 9.8 in the second second, you get the same 9.8 in the third second. And in the whole time impresses a whole force. So it's obviously a net amount of force, and it's revealed in the velocity. Clearly that's what Newton believed, and these people are just lying to pretend that Newton was a Leibnizian and that he believed that it's generating 3 times the velocity is 9 times the energy, or I mean, there's no way to put it in any other words. I mean, obviously Newton was only believed in momentum. He had no understanding of any concept of kinetic energy, and generates a whole velocity proportional to the time. And the space described in the proportional times are as the velocities, and the times conjunctively, that is in the duplicate ratio of times. And when a body is thrown upward, its uniform gravity impresses force takes off the velocities proportional to the time. So once again, it will achieve half its velocity 3/4 of the way down the track, so to speak. So only in the last quarter will it be going half its velocity. And the opposite when falling. I mean, it's just so obvious. And the times of ascending to the greatest heights are as the velocities to be taken off. So clearly he knows that it's how much gravity is going to affect you is dependent on how much time you're in the gravity. If you can get through the gravity very fast, you'll be you'll have less gravity imposed upon you. Simple truth. So again, these people are just such stinking, lousy, rotten liars. All right, I'll think if there's anything else I need to deal with here, but there really isn't. He hasn't in any way proven Newton to be a Leibnizian. There isn't any evidence in his book. There isn't any statements in his book, and every single one of the statements taken seriously are in context, clearly demonstrates he believed in quantity of motion and he didn't believe there was anything else. That was all there is and was. That's the truth. And they're not honoring that truth because they're despicable liars. Evil, despicable liars. Alright, so I will play the ending of this video just because there's some implication that 20 years ago in Stickam I said something inappropriate that proves I'm some kind of predator, and I'm quite certain I didn't. So anyway, so this is the best they could do. 20 years, I mean, there's over probably 40 or 50,000 hours of video I have produced over the years. And this is the best they can do, this, whatever this is. So he's still ragging about some sort of teddy bear molester statement I made. And clearly, I mean, makes him just such a psychotic. I mean, I've pointed out like 7 times now that that's the other channel. I was getting emails from both of them at the same time, and I confused the two personalities. So the other guy's channel is I Can Science That, and his email and his YouTube channel has some silly little cartoon character that I call the teddy bear. So I'm not even talking to this asshole. I mean, he can't even figure out what insults were directed at him. He's that stupid. Yeah, and he's a college physics professor, and he's this dumb. Ugh, hilarious. So anyway, let's see what we get here.
Of accusing me to be a teddy bear molester, which bounced back into his face. Indeed, records show that it is definitely him who is a teddy bear molester.
So again, no record shows any such thing. Again, I'm willing to make every single conversation, every email, every YouTube chat, every single bit of it. Okay, I'm willing to give to a public, some other third party to peruse for any inappropriate behavior whatsoever, because they'll find none, because I've been perpetrating none. Ugh.
We can cite, for example, this video where Gary cannot keep for himself his fantasy about 17-year-old girls.
Right, so having a fantasy about a 17-year-old girl is somehow evidence of a predator. So, I mean, I could list what? If I went through the annals of just the movies made, okay, in the last 100 years, how many movies involve an older man in love with a younger woman? Now, this asshole is, in fact, got to be 60 years old, right? I mean, it looks like it. So, at best, you could say 55. His wife is obviously at least 10 years younger. And here he is playing this game. And they have a couple of kids, so we know that she wasn't that old when he married her. So, I mean, the irony is so fucking thick. So anyway, I don't know what I'm going to say. I haven't played this yet, so let's both be surprised about the horror to come.
That used to be one of my favorite fantasies, was always the island thing, though. Islands are a great way to fantasize. Like, you just fantasize, like, you get in a plane wreck, and, like, all the men on the plane die, and all there's left are the women's, and they're all, like, 17-year-old women's,
Yeah, so this is some kind of insidious predator fantasy. Like, every man who actually has his balls that work hasn't had this fantasy. Get real.
17-year-old women's.
Oh, you think it's just a fantasy? Well, not quite.
I didn't know he was going to talk on this, so, well, I can edit the video, what the hell. If he has to do the doxing thing.
See this other video where he's hunting 13-year-old girls.
Alright, so this never happened, so it's just a lie. This is real hard slander that you're doing right here. This is illegal. You're a disgusting human being. To make up these fake stories, to make these fake statements, you think they're going to lend credibility to you? When this all goes to trial, so to speak, in the future, I'm going to prove that you faked your experiment. I'm going to prove that you've lied about what Isaac Newton said, deliberately and willfully. All right, and then I'm going to prove that all of this is the same kind of absolute nonsense. You have no evidence I have ever even mildly trespassed against any 13-year-olds. You fucking hideous piece of shit.
Listen to how creepy he sounds. There is even some...
He's talking about sounding creepy, for fuck's sake. You look creepy, you sound creepy.
One making him notice that the two girls he's hunting are only 13-year-old, and Gary shameless...
So where do we have any evidence of this? Okay, so again, just keep playing the game. I'm sure there's a context. These are stick-cam rooms. Anybody could show up. Okay, people used to play videos of, all kinds of pornography. All kinds of shit happen in these rooms. It was actually a porn company that provided this stick cam stuff. It was for that purpose, for voyeurs to, meet in rooms and have sex with each other.
Confirm that their age is not a problem.
You are cute. You are cute, you little girls, you.
So we can't see the little girls, but now that we can't say that they're cute. So that's, oh, you've gone too far.
Girls. Jesus, they have such power, man. Just the amazing power of the girl. It's just the way it's just wielded. All they do is they have to just smile. That's all they have to do. It's like, yeah, okay, I'm having a good day now. The girl's smiling. I mean, it's amazing power.
Yeah, so that's a predator talking.
God, it's like I never really wish I was a girl, but I just love to have that power for a day. Just be just some hot girl and just like wield my power to please people.
Less power when you realize they're 13.
Whatever. It's not a Jesus. Is somebody soliciting sex or something? Why do you pricks have to worry about how old they are?
Yeah, did somebody say something about having sex with them, or did somebody say take off your clothes, or did somebody do something to indicate that this is a problem? I mean, are we realistically supposed to know how old they are? How did this guy know how old these girls were? Do we have any evidence he has any idea how old they are at all? I mean, it's just such bullshit, and we can't even see the image that I'm reacting to. So what the fuck is this?
Tell us again, Gary, who's the teddy bear molester?
All right. So again, amazing. So this is proof of molestation because I just merely point out that girls are attractive and seductive. So what? Does that mean anything? No, it doesn't mean anything. They have power. Yeah. These are facts. And there's just absolutely no evidence that I've ever preyed on any.
You are.
That I sent any salacious emails, that I suggested anything, come over my house, nothing. Absolutely zero evidence that I've ever encouraged anything.
Cute. You are cute, you little girls, you. Girls. Girls.
So then he's manipulating the actual context of the video. So again, he does that in the previous part. He distorts the volume, distorts the way I'm talking. These are just such childish tactics by this asswipe. And then on top of that, he sits there and points out that, yes, in one of the screenshots, I left one of the doxings, intact. And yeah, it's insanely obscure. Like these little images, it's barely readable. So what's the big deal? It's not that big a deal for somebody to type draft science into YouTube or in Mendem and find my name. That's not going to be impossible. The point is it's not on the top of a video somewhere. It's not in a video title somewhere. It's not right in people's faces. I mean, to say that this physics professor can't tell the difference and he doesn't know that the world, the way it's constructed, is people are shooting at the president. I mean, the world is a bit radical and a bit fanatical, and people are dangerous. And you have to minimize their impulses, not encourage their impulses. And he can't even figure that out. That's how bad a scientist he is. But what a creepy motherfucker. Okay, so he somehow has proved I have preyed on women somewhere because I, as an honest male, say, yeah, young, healthy women are attractive. No doubt about it. There's just can't make it unattractive. I'm sorry. I don't know how to make them unattractive when they're young and healthy. And they get less attractive when they're old and stretched marked and wrinkled and all that kind of crap. Yeah, it's not quite as good. Yeah. Oh, I should be in jail for that opinion. Amazing. Amazing bullshit. Amazing bullshit. So anyway, till the next time and such. His argument is off the subject, and again, he's just provided me the evidence I needed. There's always these cranks who say, how could all the physicists be? How could everything be? And here it is, perfect example. I can prove that he cheated the experiment. He has no respect for the truth at all. If he did, he would have done it with 4 rubber bands, right? He would have put the 4 rubber bands on the damn thing and proven it takes 4 compressed rubber bands to go twice as fast. But he didn't do that experiment because he knows and I know it ain't going to happen. It ain't going to go just twice as fast. It's going to go a hell of a lot faster than that. With just 3 rubber bands, it's going to go a hell of a lot faster than that. So he's just lying scum, period. And that's going to be proven, and that is going to be a huge chunk of evidence to demonstrate to people why did they ever trust these motherfucking physicists. Because they have no character, they have no balls, they're not men, okay? They're religious fanatics, and their whole ego is dependent on them supporting these lies. Because if the lies are found out to be exactly that, lies, they're all going to be looking like silly, manipulative, doopy liars. The truth will be learned. That they don't really know what the fuck they're talking about, and they're just making all of this crap up. So thank you for doing my job for me, proving you to be scummy liars. Yeah, thank you.